Hi everybody, it's Tom Christie back in the workshop, and this will be session 2 of carving a Drake Ringneck Gunning Decoy. In session 1, we got the head shaped up, we have the eyes installed, and in this session we'll begin to shape up the body. We won't do a lot of detailed feather carving again. I'm just reiterating that, because this needs to be a clean, durable hunting decoy carving. If you're enjoying my channel, please hit the subscribe button. It doesn't commit you to anything, it doesn't cost anything, it just helps me out as I continue to build this channel. And if this is the first time you've tuned in, welcome. I appreciate you checking it out. There are over 150 videos that I've posted. They're all free, and this is intended to be a resource to people that might want to start decoy carving or improve what they're doing. And I'm just showing you one way to do it. Not the best way, not the only way, just the way that I've been doing it. And hopefully that'll be helpful to you. So let's get started on the body of this Drake Ringneck Gunning Decoy. Okay, I'm going to start on the body doing a little bit of layout work. First thing I wanted to do, I have this head position where it's kind of tucked back into the cape feathers, and I want to position the head in at that angle. So I've penciled in where I need to be here, and I'm going to cut that out so that I can get the head down flat and back the way it's positioned in the pattern. So I've got that mapped out so that I don't take off too much wood as we begin rounding here. And then I used my dividers, got a dimension from the bottom of the decoy to the top of the tail on the side, and transferred that both sides to the decoy. This particular decoy is not going to have raised crossed primaries. I'm kind of going with a cleaner style. Like this bird, you can't even see the primaries sticking up. Same here, nice clean profile. So I'll probably lay those to the side and tuck them along the tail feathers here. The first thing we're going to do is just generally round the body, and then we'll do some more layout work to identify where the side pockets are on this bird and carve in some of the wing and maybe a little bit of the tertial details on the decoy. Okay, I'm going to start with this little cylindrical, probably 1/4 inch diameter burr, and it's got teeth on the end of it as well, so you can use it kind of like an end mill. You can carve to the side like I'm doing here, but I'm also removing material using the end of the burr straight up and down like that to clean off the shelf. And I'm just relieving material in this area so we can get the head set down level and back in the position that it's supposed to be in. So that's pretty close. I need to make a little adjustment back here to give it a little more clearance so I can come back a bit more. So I'll pencil in a guideline and just go back with the burr. Doesn't take much, but I want to get that head in the right position. There, that's nestled back in there the way that I want it to be, with a little bit of a head turn. Just one more final adjustment that'll let it go back a little bit further. And that's matched up pretty good. All right, going forward, I'm going to speed it up to 2 times, and I'm going to the bullet nose 3/4 inch saber tooth burr. This is a fine burr. You can use a green burr, which is a heavier tooth. It really hogs wood off, but I kind of like the fine tooth. It takes a little longer, but it doesn't snag as much as the green burr does, just from my experience. So I'm more comfortable with the yellow burr for shaping. There's a little bit of an indentation there between the breast and the side of the bird, and I like to form that in. And I'll probably go through this sequence pretty quickly because basically I'm just rounding things off. You know, we got some of the wood off with the bandsaw, and that saved some of this work. But now we don't want to leave any flat spots at all on the decoy. So I'm rounding up from the bottom up and the top down. And now I'm going to use it. I kind of penciled in the position of those primaries, the way they're going to lay on top of the tail, and I'm just taking material out there. Again, digging in, kind of creating that separation between the breast and the side pocket of the bird, rounding the back. This is all just rough rounding to get the bird shaped up, remove material quickly, and not leave any flat spots. Just rounding the breast. You don't need a lot of commentary on what I'm doing here. I just wanted to show a complete video so that you can kind of see the sequence that I use to shape up the bird. And again, this is 2 times speed, so you need to go slow with grinding equipment, and you can't grind this fast. But this will get us through the video quicker. Now I'm going to use the bullet shaped into that and begin to form the tail, the upper side of the tail between where the primaries are coming back, and hitting that guideline that I've penciled in on the side of the tail. Want to leave about a 1/4 inch of thickness in the tail. Since this is a gunning decoy, it's going to take some punishment, and it needs to be sturdy back there and not fragile. Shaping the upper side of the tail there, just rough shaped, and then removing material. Since those primaries are going to lay back in there, I don't have raised cross primaries to worry about. I can take material out there. Now I'm going to switch to the 3/4 inch cylindrical bit and use that to go in and carve out the underside of the tail. So I'm going to pencil in a guideline, and I need to remove material up to that 1/4 inch thickness that I've penciled in on the side of the tail. This is an area you need to go slow because a lot of times you're carving against end grain here, so you need to just take your time. Now I'm just going back and removing material carefully. And rounding the underside of the rump there as it meets the underside of the tail. Same thing on the opposite side. Again, take your time to maintain control on these cuts. So I've hit the side guideline. Now I'm just going to go back and round that area off like I did on the other side. And we'll go back in with finer bits and clean things up, but this gets the bulk of the wood out of the way and gets the rough shape of the carving done relatively quickly. Just rounding the rump then underneath the tail. Now I'm going in the upper side of the tail where it meets the body, and where those primaries are going to begin to lie, and starting to define where those are going to be. You can see kind of a nice cup shape to the tail, and that's what we want. And I've left plenty of material back there so the tail is nice and sturdy. Got a nice round shape, rough rounded, and ready for the next step. All right, that was a pretty quick job to define the shelf there where the head is going to sit. Kind of rough shape the tail so we know its position, and round everything. And now we'll do some layout work using the pattern. I want to determine where the cape, how far the cape comes back from the front of the bird, and getting a measurement from the front to that point. Then I'll scoot over here, just using the side of this enclosure to give me a guideline on the front of the bird, so I know where that point is on the carving. Now I want to establish where these points are. So I'll go from that center line, the back of the cape, to the front where the hook comes up here, or I'm calling it the hook. Very distinctive shape on a ringneck drake. So I'm scribing a line, using that as my center point on both sides. Then we'll get a measurement from the center line to those points on either side. So I'm going from the center line here and looking for where that meets my scribe arc line. So I know that cape falls right about in here. I'm going to go ahead and stay on the top-down pattern and transfer some of these dimensions. The side pockets on a ringneck drake come up quite far and almost wrap over the back up here, so they're going to be very round and cupped up here. So I'm just getting a rough dimension here that I can transfer the carving. So we know it's about that wide back here, and then from the center of the cape here out to the shoulders, or where the wings, the front of the wings tuck into the side pocket. So now I can use those guidelines. I know the side pocket comes back to here, wraps up all the way up here, drops back down, and then hooks up into the cape, front of the cape there. And I know this side pocket's going to return underneath here, so there's a little sketch that in. Now I want to use the side profile. I'm going to use my calipers instead of my dividers for the side pocket, for the side profile, because I like to hook under the base of the decoy, the bottom of the decoy, with the caliper, and come up to the top of the side pocket. So again, using the calipers, I can just use that as the base. And I know I need to come up that far. Lay that out on both sides. I'm kind of rushing, but that way you don't fall asleep. And then this dips down very characteristically on the ringneck drake. So we're going to want to carve that in so that when we paint this bird, we get that nice hook shape right up here to the neck. So this comes down this far on both sides. Now I can use those marks. Try to get it where you can see it here. Sketch in the side profile of the side pocket. And that joins up with the rear of the side pocket back here. I need one more dimension, and that is how far does it return up here as it tucks in near the breast. That'll help form the hook that we're looking for. So it comes up quite a bit in front to match up with this hook shape. So now we've kind of got our layout, and we can use the grinder to dig out this area, remove wood down, and also in this direction. Take this section out, and then we'll round from there in both directions. We also know where the side or the cape is here. I'm going to do more layout work on the primaries back here and some tertials after I get this shaped up. I'm going to start with this 3/4 inch cylindrical burr, and this is normal speed, by the way, just so you get a feel for the speed of making these cuts. You can't dig this all out in one hard swoop. I suppose you could, but I like to go at it a little bit at a time and take successive cuts and go deeper, 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 rather than pushing so hard that you hog off too much material or the burr starts to snag and you lose control. So just taking this down a little bit at a time, like I said, following that plan down view profile and the side profile, and taking it down until I hit both of those. And that looks a little funny right now, but that assures that we have the proper shape from the top down and the side view as well. And then once we start rounding everything, it'll look a lot more natural. But this way, we've got the shapes established the way they need to be, and then we just need to start rounding. Now I'm digging into the back of the cape area to lower that just a bit, and also those front area where the wing tucks into the side pocket. Now I'm going to start rounding. I've hit my guidelines on both the side profile and the top down profile, and now we can begin rounding material. I'm rounding the side pockets. I know I keep saying rounding, but that I think is a key to a natural looking carving. There's very few flat spots on waterfowl, so we want nice rounded curves to everything. You can see my dust collection's not collecting all the dust. To the earlier point of wearing a respirator, my sleeve is covered with material, even though I've got a big dust collector pulling down. It's just the angles sometimes throw dust out. You can't do anything about it except protect yourself. So I've got that side roughed in, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and I'll just speed through this a little bit since this is repetitive to that other side. So I'm a little farther along here, shaping things up and getting things nice and round. Kind of define the cape. The cape is a little bit raised because those cape feathers lay over the feathers of the back. Just more shaping. Now I'm going to cut in that lower edge of the side pocket on each side. Since this is a gunning decoy, I'm not going to take too much out there. You want as much of the decoy in contact with the water as possible, so try not to undercut things too much on a working decoy. All right, we've got some rough carving done. I like to stop at this point. You can tell I carved pretty quickly, and that comes with experience, frankly, is you get a little faster the more experience you have. But now I want to stop and take a look at what I've done so far and see if there's good symmetry or if I need to make some adjustments. So we'll go back to the pattern with the calipers. I know that corner hook area needs to be right there, and that looks good. I'm going to check the other side to make sure there's symmetry. That looks good. Let's check this lower drop area. People have asked me, by the way, why do I cut these out? And it really is the bill pattern. But I found that I lose these over time, and if I just cut it out of the pattern, it always stays with the pattern. I've got a bill pattern with me if I lose the little piece. So again, I'm going down to this drop down area. Let's see how we are here. You can tell I haven't gone deep enough there according to the calipers. Closer on that side, but still need to go down, so I'm going to remark those areas. That has to go down quite a bit more. Now let's check the top of the side pocket according to the pattern. See where we are. And we're also trying to check symmetry on both sides. That looks pretty good. So that's the height of the side pocket, and that looks right on. So those are good. I just need to drop this area down a little bit more, tie it in, and this was okay. So from the back it looks symmetrical, and that makes sense since these measurements were both on the money. Let's do one check across the back, or a couple of checks at the front of the wing here where it tucks into the side pocket. Let's check the width. Okay, that's going to be right when I take that down a little further. Let's check back here at the top of the side pockets in back. The distance across here, that looks pretty good. So one major adjustment to make, a minor one over here. I'll make those adjustments and then we'll come back and work in this primary tertial area in the back. Just going to use that cylindrical saber-tooth burr again and go in and and correct those areas that weren't deep enough on both sides. And it just shows the importance of going back and checking your work, because I thought I had it right the first time, and by going back to the pattern, you can see, I need to go a little deeper in that area to hit my pattern, which is really important. So sometimes you can eyeball things, but I really like to check with the pattern periodically. Now I'm just using that 1/4-inch burr, and that allows me a little more control, and I can get in and clean things up a little better and just remove the big grinding lines from the bigger saber-tooth burr. So just going in and finalizing that carving. Same thing with the cape, just kind of redefining or further defining where it needs to be and cleaning things up with the smaller burr. So I think we can skip ahead here. I'll finish that work up. Now I'm just going to grab my pattern again and check that dimension that was off the first time we carved, and that looks a lot better. That's where I want it to be. So that'll really help us define that hook shape. Really important when we go to painting. Now I'm going to use the 150 grit on a sanding drum. That's about a 1/2-inch sanding drum, and just go over the entire bird and smooth things out. Remove the grinding marks. Make sure everything's nice and round and smooth. And that'll get us ready to do a little bit of work on the primaries and the tertials in the back. But I want to get things smoothed out first. You can see there's still quite a few grinding lines, and we don't want anything that's going to cast a shadow in an awkward way. I've done a little layout work on the primaries. I'm going to drop those down and just have them rest on the top of the tail here. I am going to define where the tertials overlap the primaries. So this will be one group, this will be one group. And then I'm going to take this down in the middle just to raise those slightly, not much. Mainly going to be paint back here, but just a little bit of structure. So let's carve that in next. I'm going back to the 1/4-inch burr, and I'm going to use that to kind of follow these guidelines, start to remove wood, kind of create an outline to begin with, and then we can remove wood in this area between the primaries. I want to lower that area, drop it down so there's a nice smooth transition from the back into the tail coverts. Now I'm going to follow that primary line as it tucks behind the side pocket and goes back to the tail. And I don't want to do a ton of carving. Now I'm just going to define that primary flight feather group and separate it a bit from the tertials so that they look a little layered. And that's about all the carving I want to do on this gunning decoy. Just a couple little subtle things that I think make a difference and will also show up well in the field. Because the light will catch those, they'll cast a few shadows, and I think that really helps convey life. I'm just rounding that area in back. So we have a little concaved area between the scapulars of the halves of the back. Now I'm using the end of that burr like an end mill to just flatten out those primaries and remove a little bit more wood. Get a view of that. Now I'm going to change bits and go with, I think I'll go with this little pyramid shaped bit, and I've sped this up now because I'm just going to use this little ruby bit to clean things up, remove grinding lines again, and further define these areas of separation. It's really kind of pre-sanding. And this is, I believe, a medium grit ruby. So it leaves a pretty nice finish that then makes it easy to sand from there. And that's looking pretty good. Just taking my time and cleaning things up here. It'll just save a ton of work later when I go to sand. You can see that tertial group looks a little too triangular to me, so I want a little bit of a curve like I have on this other side. It's a subtle thing, but I think it makes a difference. I'm happier with the way that looks. Now I'm just doing some hand sanding. All right, we got the body shaped up. Just kind of defined where the tertials are and the primaries. Give you a view, nice round profile from the back. We've got our hooks in place. All right, I think we'll call it a day on the Ringneck Drake project. We've got the head shaped, the eyes inserted. We've got the body shaped up, nice and round. A few carving details, not many. And next time in session 3, I am going to hollow this Tupelo decoy. So we'll split the decoy. I'll show you how to hollow it, put it back together. Hopefully we'll get the head mounted and ready to go. We'll do some work on the keel. And then in the following session, we should be able to test float the decoy and get it primed and ready to paint. So until next time, Tom Christie signing out. Good carving to all of you.